everybody, and welcome to the Positively Disney podcast. I'm Kimberly Bouchard, your host and the author of the Positively Disney book series, from where this show stems from. I just want to welcome all my Facebook folks and my Twitch TV folks out there. I want to say hello to Rebecca. I see that you're on, and Michelle. Hey, you guys, thanks for joining me tonight. And actually, speaking about Michelle, who's on here, she actually is my lovely sponsor, and you can find her at Ears of Experience at 732-735-1779, or you can email her at mcckeown at themostexperts.com and tell her I sent you. She will put together an amazing vacation with you. She is an expert in concierge, in special needs and requirements, special family get-togethers, as well as she provides text access to her while you are on your vacation, which how great is that? So if you have a question, you run into a situation you're not too sure about, you just text her and she'll be right on it to resolve it and connect with you. I want to welcome my hubby on the show as well tonight. So I don't know about you guys, but I love to learn. I know that Disney is actually just kind of a natural place to learn new things. And they have not only the attractions that you can appreciate and kind of have a new experience, but places like Animal Kingdom where they actually teach you about the animals and the habitat and all of that. Well, years and years ago, I don't even know I know how many years ago it was. It was almost 24 years ago that I attended the Disney Institute. And I actually still have a sweater from there because it is it was a really unique concept. And I remember it because I was expecting our first child. And the Disney Institute, I don't know if any of you guys had ever gone to it before or heard about it, but it was actually located at Saratoga Springs. And they offered guests a variety of half-day classes, 3-hour classes, and such. And what I did there is I actually did a time management course, class, I should say, not a course. And it was really actually not only educational, but it was entertaining as well. They had really, really good people putting on these different workshops and that. Learned a lot of stuff. And another activity that I did is I made chocolate truffles and the little boxes along with it. And it was really fun. I remember having this whole room set up with those special frozen slabs, I guess, for lack of a better word, beside us while we were making our truffles. And it was one of the chefs from Walt Disney World that was teaching us, and we kind of got to know our partner, and we got to try out our truffles, and we came away with a recipe book, a little recipe sheet, and information about how to create the boxes. And I think we even did something with bread. Memory is not serving me exactly with that, but I really wish that they had something like that again because it's just, I don't know, it's fun to learn, and they obviously felt that a need to move on, but it would be really fun to have little classes. And I'm thinking you guys that have been in the parks have had the experience of drawing something with an animator, in the room when I think they can fit about 20 or 30 of you in there, and they'll teach you how to sketch the different characters, which I think is just really fun. I really enjoy that aspect of my Disney experience. But I was just wondering if you guys had ever been to the Disney Institute or remember or even heard about it. Before I go on, I want to welcome Cody. Thank you for joining me, Cody, Toddy, Gina, and Paul. Gosh, Paul, you are, I don't even know what time of day it is over in your neck of the woods, in the UK, well, UK time in the Channel Islands. So gosh, unless you're in New York, but thank you so much for joining me tonight. So, another class that they had at the Disney Institute, I remember this very clearly. Well, It's a topiary. Was it? You could make a little topiary tree, and I mean, of course, we all admire all the topiaries that they have in the parks, and they are designed like a character or something, and they're really well done. And I remember I wanted to do the class so badly, but at that time we were living in Canada, so I could not. Uh, do that class unless I wanted to give away my topiary, but who would want to give their work away? Not me, anyways. So I couldn't do it that day. But I think that would just be so much fun to learn sort of those little things that they do. So with the whole learning thing tonight, as you know, I have a man named Cody Havard, Dr. Havard, who is going to be joining me in a moment, and he is an amazing fellow. I've gotten to know him a little bit through his class at the University of Memphis. And he took his love for Disney and created a Disney class. And it's just so phenomenal that he could actually do something like that. And I'm looking forward to talking to him a bit more about his class. So we're just getting him on the line now. Let's see, it's ringing.
Oh,
Hi, Cody.
hello.
Hi, how are
Hey,
you?
good, Kimberly. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. Welcome. And I guess you're watching. Are you watching it live? I think you are, but I'm not positive.
Yeah, I was trying to watch live, and then I uh, muted the stream in
Yeah.
case there was any interference. So
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's funny. You are only the second person that I know of as a guest that actually had been watching the show while they were on. And the first person was he's a world expert in body language, and we were talking about gestures in the movies and the characters and all of that. And then he started reading my body language.
yeah,
So I'm glad we don't have to do any of that tonight. But anyways,
yeah,
Cody, I'm so excited to talk to you because I just think what you're doing is phenomenal. But we're going to kind of start a little bit chronologically here, I think. So first of all, what are your first experiences with Disney? Like, was it the movies? Was it the parks? Was it toys? Like, what was it?
well, I think um, being a kid growing up in the '80s and '90s, you kind of it's probably the movies that was the first amount, the first kind of attraction to it.
Hmm.
And then we went a few times when I was a kid, in the late '80s. I still have pictures of me and the Dreamfinder and Figment and everything at Epcot Center. And
Nice.
so, and then I remember going, a couple times in the early '90s, and I really didn't go I'm trying to think, from probably '94 to maybe, I think I went back in 2012. So I
Oh,
went a
wow.
really long time
Yeah.
without going to Disney World.
Right.
And it wasn't because, I felt that I was too old or mature or wanted to go to other parks or anything.
Yeah.
It was just we didn't we didn't make our way down to Florida at that time. I was growing up in Texas,
Mm.
and so that was quite a long drive for us.
Yeah.
Um, so after that long, going back in 2012, it really was like kind of an opportunity. I know a lot of people have said it felt like you were going home to a certain extent. It
Uh,
felt really cool to be
yeah.
back there.
Yeah. So when did you sort of figure out that you were a fan? Like, did you have a particular moment that you thought, gee, you know what? I really like this place, or I really like Disney.
Well, I think probably, I mean, I've been a fan since I was really young, I think.
Okay.
But when it
Okay.
kind of hit me, I remember in 2012, my wife at the time she was we were dating,
Hmm.
and that was my second year at the University of Memphis, and we were going to a conference that was actually held in Orlando,
Mm.
and so we through the conference had bought tickets through Disney, and I remember um, the one evening when we were going to go to Disney Springs, taking the Orlando City bus into Disney Springs and seeing the kind of welcome to Disney World sign, not the
Mm-hmm.
obviously the big one that you drive under, but
Right.
the one that you drive in on Disney Springs. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember right then tearing up and thinking like,
Mm.
oh, this is real. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and from so I think I've been a fan my whole life, but that kind of triggered something inside that I thought, you know what, I want to continue this. And then
Right.
through that trip,
Yeah.
that was actually that was my wife's first time to go,
Mm.
and so to be able to see like how to share that with her and see how she experienced it
Yeah.
was really really cool. And I thought I want to go back as much as I can.
Okay.
And since 2012, I think we've probably been three, or since counting 2012, we've been three times
Okay.
with, and then I've been another time or two for business related trips where I'll
Right.
take some time to stop by and everything.
Yeah, of course. You're going to stop by if you're there on business, anyways,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah.
So now, what made you, Cody, decide to create a Disney fandom class? Because you teach a variety of things, and then to start that, I think that's incredible.
Yeah, so I teach in our sport commerce program in the Kimmons Wilson School, which is actually Kimmons Wilson was the founder of Holiday Inn. So kind of transitioning over to the hospitality
Mm,
side of things. I'm used to teaching like sport marketing, and right now this semester I'm teaching a class on international relations
mm,
and sport organizations.
mm-hmm.
And but our university has an honors college that we teach 1 hour forum classes. And so about 5 or 6 years ago, I started teaching one on rivalry and group behavior because that's what I study and that's what I write about is
Mm-hmm.
rivalry and how groups behave toward each other and how they relate to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then 3 years ago, or yeah, three Christmases ago, we were at a faculty function, and one of my colleagues just said, "You know what? Like, you should teach one of those forum classes on Disney." And
Mm,
so I emailed the honors college and said, "Hey, if you need, I'll teach a second class, and here's what I want to teach it on."
mm-hmm.
And these classes are set up to put people in a situation where they're small classes. They're about 15 people.
Okay.
They're with students from very diverse backgrounds and very diverse majors, so they may never
Oh.
see these kids again throughout their university career.
Oh, wow.
And they also work to kind of let people see a different side of a professor. So not the kind of
The hardcore.
intimidating side. Yeah. And so, that's I emailed and said, "Hey, I want to teach a class on this." And
Yeah.
that they said, "Hey, that's great. You can teach it on that." And I said, I'm going to call it "Being a Fan of Disney," because I didn't want to I didn't want to advertise that, hey, this is like an expert on Disney. You're gonna learn
Right.
everything about Disney.
Yeah.
I wanted to say, hey, I study fandom,
Right.
I study rivalry and group behavior, and
Yeah.
we're gonna talk about what it means to be a fan of this company and all that encompasses, and then
Yeah.
how that affects the rest of your life.
Yeah. So, can you tell us a little bit about what you teach in your classes? Because I'm thinking, there's so much Disney out there. So, you must have to compartmentalize it to an extent, or like, how do you do it? And is it 1 hour classes? You said a week, once a week, twice a week, or
Yeah, so they're 55 minutes
okay,
once a week,
okay,
and because it's a 1 hour class through our
mm-hmm,
honors program,
mm-hmm,
and it's really difficult to kind of fit everything into that period of time because you
yeah,
just, especially when you get people in the class that really get into it, you just
mm-hmm,
want to keep talking about it. And
yeah,
So I really, this is my third semester teaching this course.
Mm-hmm.
And I walked in the first day and I told the students, hey, I thought we're going to watch videos all the time.
Mm.
I love watching videos about the parks,
Mm-hmm.
historical videos and videos of, people going on rides and things like that.
Mm.
And so I walked into the class and I said, this is what this class is. And this is kind of what I originally have planned, but what do you all want to know?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it opened the floodgates where
No.
people wanted to know the history of the parks.
Ah.
They wanted to know about um, Walt Disney himself. They wanted to know about the corporation, some of the history of it, the acquisitions. And
Mm-hmm.
one person did say they wanted to learn how to open a theme park. And I said, well, that's not this class.
Yeah.
We're not going to be able to cover that.
There's a whole
Um,
degree about that or something.
yeah.
Planning.
And so from there, it just kind of sent me, it opened up the rabbit hole where I could go in and just read as much as I wanted to about it. And
Mm.
I mean, now last week was our first week of the semester, and we talked about um, Walt Disney himself and kind of his journey, gave a brief overview of that.
Mm-hmm.
Today, I like to have special speakers in the class, and that's you spoke in the class last spring.
Mm-hmm.
And today the special speaker was Ridley Pearson, the author of the Kingdom Keepers book.
Oh, lovely. Mm-hmm.
Next on our schedule, we're talking about the acquisitions that the company has made. So ESPN, ABC, Fox, Marvel, Pixar, Star Wars, and we actually, most of the kids, most of the people in the class,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of them are freshmen or possibly up to seniors in college.
Mm-hmm.
So they're really big Marvel fans.
Right.
There's one or two people who are Star Wars fans in there. So we're going to talk about the acquisitions in 2 weeks. We're actually they're going to have a debate over who is the best character in the MCU.
Oh,
Who's the best
oh my
MCU
goodness.
hero? And then we talk about the movies, both corporate movies and fan made movies.
Oh,
We talk about the parts. We're going to have Lee Cockrell, who was the former executive vice president of Walt Disney.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's going to Skype in April.
Nice.
And so we try to cover as many topics as possible. And
Yeah.
again, when you have 55 minutes and especially when people really get into a subject matter, that goes by extremely quickly.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. Does it now, do you have sort of a set curriculum, or does it kind of continually evolve, or how does that work?
So it continually evolves. The first semester I taught the class, the last session of the class, I told people, hey, here I am if you have any questions.
Mm-hmm.
I by no means know everything about the company or about the parks or the movies, but I if I don't know it, I can hopefully put you on to a resource that you can find some answers. And here's a good example. Someone asked the question about the accusations of Walt Disney and some of the things that happened in previous movies, like Song of the South and everything like that. And it really opened up a great discussion over, kind of some of the things that maybe the company doesn't acknowledge to a certain extent now. And so from that, I now incorporate that into the class when I'm talking about different things that the company has done. So we try to talk about, hey, this is a company that manufactures fun, but there's also controversy that comes with it, right? And so you have to understand kind of the good things that are happening and the not so good things, or the things that the company,
Yeah.
wants to move past. to a
Right.
certain extent, you know.
Well, when you think about how long the company, I mean, it's been, I don't know how many decades now, 8, 7 decades,
Yeah,
you know, something like that. It's crazy. And it's interesting that you mentioned that question from the other day, because if you check out some of the older movies, like from I think maybe the late 50s, even earlier, on the Disney Plus channel, I was kind of, I had seen some, I guess maybe they'd come back into the theater or something like that, because I wasn't born back then in the 40s or 50s. But I'm really surprised, it's like, oh my gosh, things have really changed, because they wouldn't get away with that, or saying that or talking like that, today. But they're not, I can also see that they wouldn't go back and change everything. I mean, you can't change. I mean, and it's not only Disney company, it's anybody that has produced film back in, I won't call it the Stone ages, but like years and years ago, where we didn't have, we just were not aware of just ways that we talk, or sort of being a little bit more politically correct. So that's a really interesting question. So trying to cram that into 55 minutes would be really difficult to do. You might have to have a part two, I guess, on that. I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that, we it kind of gets into a conversation of, here is something that, as we progress as a society and as we move forward, there are
Hmm.
things that have happened that are no longer seen as acceptable.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
overall, that's a positive thing.
Hmm.
And so you kind of have to know some of these things that, going into this, and some of,
Mm.
yeah, when you watch on Disney Plus now, some of the older movies have, kind of a statement at the beginning that says, some of these depictions, are time sensitive, or
Right.
something to that nature.
Yeah, for sure. Cody, do you in this class, do they have assignments? Do they have readings to do? Do they have tests, or how? I'm just wondering how that works.
Yeah, so they don't have required readings.
Okay.
What I do on the syllabus is I'm constantly adding content, as far as videos that they can watch,
Hmm.
books that are have been interesting, to me. So I have things on the company themselves, books on the parks. If people want to know more about Pixar Studios, because a lot of people are interested in Pixar as well,
Hmm.
um, I try to give them resources on Pixar, on Marvel, on, um, like I have your books on there. I have the Kingdom Keeper books on there, um, and then there's also they have the links to previous interviews and people
Oh.
who have Skyped in
Hmm.
that they should watch for additional content.
Hmm.
Um, there's links to movies and YouTube movies on there, like the Dream Finders,
Mm.
the Further Adventures of Walt's Frozen Head, which was a fan made movie, and some other fan made movies, that are readily available on YouTube. And
Hmm.
so this semester, I actually I they don't have required readings, but I did ask them to have access to Disney Plus, because
Hmm.
there are some things that I've said you should watch,
Right.
just so you kind of have an understanding. Like, for instance, when we talk about the Disney parks, it would be helpful for them to watch the Imagineering story, the
Right.
episodes of that.
Right.
And then they have two assignments. One of them is, really an introduction to what Disney means to them.
Hmm.
And so, kind of the first question you asked me, how was I introduced?
Hmm.
What does Disney mean to me? And then they kind of wrap that up by talking about what do they think Disney means to society, or how does it positively impact
Mm.
society.
Hmm.
They have a second assignment that they have a choice. They either get to talk about a character, or a ride in the parks, or something that would represent them,
Oh, fun.
and then kind of give a history of that. And then the other choice for that second assignment is,
Mm.
um, to watch something on Disney Plus, and kind of give a report about that and
Mhm.
sort of tie that into um, what it means to be a fan. Because where we get at the end of the semester is we wrap up the semester talking about, okay, we've used Disney as an example to discuss what fandom means and what it
Mhm.
means to follow something and relate or consume something.
Mhm.
Now, what are the positive things you get from that, and how can you take those positive attributes from that or characteristics you get from that, and can you put those in other places within your life or within your interactions with people?
Mhm.
Because that's like in marketing, we talk about that a lot, where
Mhm.
you have to, especially in the sport context, you have to have people have to have fun because you can't control if the team wins or loses. So
Yeah.
you have to put on a good show and you have
Yeah.
to make sure people are having a good time.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the way that we wrap up the course.
Gosh. So now, can anybody, I mean, you offer it at the University of Memphis, but can anybody sign up for the class, or uh I shouldn't say class, course, or is it just for Memphis students?
So right now, the kind of the official course is for U of M students because
Right.
it's in the honors program.
Right.
We are trying to work through being able to offer it as kind of an open credit class,
Mhm.
which the way that the university offers those is most people have continuing education credits that,
Okay.
depending on what type of profession a person has, they can take continuing education, or they're required to take continuing education classes. So we're first trying to look at that through the university to see how that's going to work, and I'm hoping it would be nice to have that set up to where we could do something online starting in the fall, where
Mm,
then it really doesn't matter where a person is,
right.
they could take the class. The In the meantime, we video the classes because I've had some family members and other people ask about what we
Yeah.
cover in the class.
Yeah.
So we do video it, and
Okay.
we I then post it on my YouTube channel.
Okay. So what is that?
And
What is that, so that people can make a note of that? Cody, what's your YouTube channel?
so it is the if you're looking on YouTube, you search for Cody Havard, researcher of rivalry.
Okay.
And then that's my, I guess, channel.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a playlist that says class lectures,
Okay.
and so within that class lecture, probably um, there's 23 videos, probably 22 of them are from that Disney class.
Okay.
There's another one that's from the marketing class when we talked to Ron Schneider, who was the
Mm,
original strolling dream finder when Epcot Center first opened.
right. Yeah.
Um, so that's how people can kind of see what's
Okay.
going on. And then I did last semester, or the last time I taught this, and
Mm-hmm.
last spring,
Mm-hmm.
I started a Facebook page for the people who either had spoken in the class or people who kind of wanted to keep up with the class. So I try to post things on there,
Mm-hmm.
and that page is called "Being a Fan of Disney,"
Okay.
and
Okay.
it's a public group, so people could join, and that's we keep up with. I try to post what we do each week,
Mm-hmm.
um, the kind of schedule for the semester, so people could keep up with information as they want to.
Right. Gosh, did you ever imagine that you'd be teaching a class on Disney, when you started out on your own educational journey? That's a really neat opportunity, I think.
Yeah, it is really really cool to be able to do this. That
Mhm.
um, you you take something that you really enjoy,
Mhm.
you take something that you love, and you then I've given the freedom to kind of move forward with it
Mhm.
and talk about these things in classes, and it is really cool. We're trying to do some other things with our students at the University of Memphis where they could actually learn engagement principles from people at the Walt Disney or at Walt Disney World,
Mm.
and then actually go to Orlando and be able to do that. So, yeah,
Hmm.
when
Wow.
you have the opportunity to kind of fully embrace something that is really interesting to you,
Hmm.
yeah, it's a really really neat feeling.
And I
Um,
think I would think it would be very liberating as a professor to be able to teach a class like that, where I would think it would be a bit more relaxed in a sense. I think it would have a different vibe than a regular. I mean, you're probably great. I mean, not probably, but I know you're a great guy and you're a great professor and probably goes into the other classes. But I think for you personally, it would be just a nice opportunity to get to know some other students that you would never normally have come into your classroom, right?
yeah, yeah, it is, and I mean, thank you for the compliment. The it is the neatest thing from teaching this class. As I said, I research and I write about rivalry,
Hmm.
and I started writing about rivalry in sport and
Hmm.
why essentially does Group A not like Group B because of the jerseys they're wearing. And then that's transitioned into, we've compared rivalry or outgroup behavior in sport with theme parks, with
Right.
comic books, with gaming.
Mm.
We're starting into some areas like politics and things like that. So when one of the neatest things in my research, which I love researching and writing about rivalry,
Hmm.
you hear people people share some pretty um, kind of troubling things with you sometimes. The way
Hmm.
they feel toward different groups and
Hmm.
the way they feel toward fans of rival teams. And
Hmm.
I you hope people are exaggerating when they tell you
Oh,
some of the things,
oh,
but
oh dear.
you don't it's still it's kind of troubling. And so since I have kind of found my fandom again
Yeah.
and really started looking into it and started teaching this class, I have been amazed by the connections I've made with people who are
Mm.
fans of Disney. I mean, you're a perfect example of being able to reach out and have you Skype in the class, and
Mm.
I've had interactions with great people that, like I talked about, Brian Schneider,
Hmm.
yourself, Lou Mangello, Brian Collins, who is a former Imagineer for the Walt Disney Company, and
Nice.
it's been and then as I said this semester, Lee Cockrell and
Yeah.
Ridley Pearson today.
Yeah.
It's just been amazing the number of people who are willing to share their time,
Oh yeah.
and then beyond that, just the way people kind of treat each other when they're talking about Disney.
Yeah.
I'm amazed that when I get on these groups and
Yeah.
I see people's comments, they're there there's very very few negative comments, and
That's
even the
right.
negative comments don't rise to the level of negative
Right.
comments in other settings. That
Right.
and I looking at sport, I'm used to seeing fans
Oh.
talk about how horrible the other team
Yeah.
is or how
Yeah.
horrible the other fans are.
Yeah.
So that's been really really awesome from
Yeah.
a teaching perspective, a research perspective, and from a personal kind of perspective on where we are as a society. That feels really
Mm.
good that we have these connection points,
Yeah.
that there are so many things that people are telling us that pull us apart, but there are these connection points that bring people together, and Disney's one of those, and that's
Oh,
amazing.
yeah. And I'm always fascinated by, the stories I hear, I see of the connectedness and how something, people will be meeting each other in the most unusual circumstances, both in and out of the parks, just because of something Disney related. And it's really fascinating, isn't it? And it's nice to see that positivity grow in society
Yeah,
because of a basic Disney love for Disney, and I mean, I don't care who you are, what age you are, but Disney somehow has made it into your life, be it a commercial, be it something in the store, be it your grandchildren or whomever. But I'm everybody. I mean, when I've traveled, we find Disney stuff in the strangest areas in the world that you don't expect, or you know, and isn't it wonderful, to have that? Gosh, Cody.
Yeah, it's a great feeling to have the connections
Yeah.
that Disney brings.
Yeah, that is awesome. Cody, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I really love what you're doing, and I look forward to when it comes online for the rest of us, because I want to sign up for your course.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. And that's like I said at the outset, I'm not an expert on this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm a fan, and I happen to know a little bit about fandom and about
Hmm.
like what that means. And so it's great to see all of this. And so thank you very much.
Yeah.
This was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's great. Well, listen, we'll be in touch, Cody, and have a good rest of your week. Actually, I'm just trying to, as you know, I'm trying to get through my assignments for my master's here, and,
Yeah.
and I applaud anybody that does that higher education, because it can be a challenge sometimes juggling family and other commitments, But good on you for doing it all. And I think what you said, you don't have to know everything. I don't know anybody that knows everything about the Disney company, including the higher ups, but I think if you're willing to to learn, and you're a great researcher, I mean, you have a lot to bring to the table, and I thank you for that, because I think that's wonderful what you're doing with the students, and hopefully with more students like the rest of us, in the if if it comes to fruition next fall, that would just be amazing.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, and good luck getting through the semester and
Yeah.
the program.
Thank you. All right, take care. Good night, Cody.
Bye.
Bye. So that is so fascinating. I hope you guys can find not only his Facebook page, but also his link to his YouTube channel, Cody T. Havard, Havard, on sports fandom and rivalry. I just want to welcome Lance. Lance is tuning in from Pennsylvania. Thank you for joining me tonight. So, some of you may or may not know this, but I'm actually heading to Florida on Wednesday. I have some things I have to attend in that neck of the woods, and I will be there until the 12th. But I just thought I'd let you know that I'm not sure if you're going to be around. I haven't quite determined whether it's going to be possible for me to do a meetup at this time. It's a shorter time period, but I thought I'd let you know that well, I will be in no, I will be in Disney Springs on Thursday, because I don't know if you guys saw the Donald Duck and Pluto purse collection that Coach just had, I guess, debuted last week, I guess it was. And of course, I'm a huge Donald Duck fan, so I got a little purse, and it's actually waiting for me at the Coach outlet in Disney Springs. So I'm going to go with a friend of mine shopping a little bit on Thursday. On Saturday, I just found out that I am actually, I knew I was going to be at the Space Coast Comic Con on Saturday just as a visitor, but I've been invited to participate in an interview on the couch there on the stage from about, I think it's like 3:20 to 4 p.m. So if you guys are out in the Cocoa Beach area and you want to come by and say hi, you will see me there. And then Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, I'm hoping to get to the parks. I'm not sure what parks and when, but again, if I do end up having a chance to have a little meetup, I'll kind of put it out there on Facebook, because I just think it's so fun meeting you guys, like for real, not just talking to you, but actually being able to give you a hug, and it's great fun to meet all you guys. At any rate, thank you so much for joining me. There will not be a program next Monday because I am away. But thank you so much for joining me, you guys, and have a wonderful week and just be safe and be well, okay? Take care for now. Bye.